Gantry helps you capture the data that's flowing through your live ML-powered product and use that data to measure how your model is actually performing and find ways to improve it. Let's say that we're a marketing startup building a grammar correction products. Our users submit their emails and our model suggests ways to improve the grammar. Then users can give us feedback by accepting or rejecting those suggestions. We've already deployed the first version of the model, so now our job is to measure how it's working and maybe find some ways to make it better. The first thing that we'll need to do is get the data from our product into Gantry. We can do this by adding just a few lines of code to log the model's inputs and outputs and our users' feedback, which in this case, users provide right after the prediction, though Gantry can also handle feedback long after the original prediction. And that's all that we need to do to get going. I deployed this a couple weeks ago, so if we navigate to the Gantry dashboard for our app, we can already see useful information here, like the volume of requests to our app this week and the percentage of users that rejected our suggestions. I'm not so sure though whether these rejection numbers are good or bad. So let's add some context by comparing to another window of data. Gantry makes it easy to compare any two windows of data, like we could compare this to our training data or to a particular set of test data, but let's keep things simple and compare to last week. Interesting, there's been a clear spike in negative feedback week over week. So let's dig in here and figure out what's going on. Starting with the raw data, we can see the model's inputs and predictions, as well as whether the correction was accepted or not. Focusing on just the negative feedback and scrolling through, there are a lot of emojis here. Maybe our model isn't handling those well. We can also see a lot of @ and hashtags. So it seems like recently our users have been trying to use the product for social media posts instead of what it was designed for, which is emails. This could be why we're seeing more negative feedback. So the next thing that we'll need to do is test that hypothesis. Now, if we knew what proportion of our recent negative feedback was on social media posts, then we could tell if we'd identified the problem. But the tricky part of that is splitting up our data by which submissions are social posts and which are not. Luckily, Gantry makes it easy for us to partition our data using any rule that we can write as a function. These functions are called projections at Gantry. Take this language projection for an example. It tags each submission to your application with the language of that submission. Then we can do things like detect drift in the distribution of languages of our submissions, or find particular languages that are correlated with better or worse model performance. There are a bunch of useful projections like this available out of the box, and we can also extend Gantry by adding our own projections by just writing a pure Python function. Now let's add some projections to detect social posts. We'd expect them to have more emojis than emails, so we'll tag each submission by whether it contains emojis. They might also be grammatically simpler, so we'll add a readability score. And the projections that we just added will automatically run on all new data. But let's also run a backfill to tag our historical data points and test our hypothesis. Heading back to the data, let's see how well our projections predict negative user feedback. It looks like negative feedback is skewed towards submissions with higher polarity or sentiment, simpler sentences with higher reading ease, and heavily skewed towards inputs with emojis. It's also skewed towards newer accounts. So it seems like what happened is that new users signed up for our products, they tried to use it for social posts and had a bad experience. So we probably found the issue that's causing this increase in negative feedback, and we found some identifiable proxies for inputs that will perform poorly, like the presence of emojis. Next, what we'll do is gather some data to correct the issue. We'll filter all the submissions this week that contain emojis, and this will include many of the examples our users disliked, but also many that they accepted or just didn't bother to rate. And we can use this to train a model that doesn't drop emojis. To pull the data out for retraining, we'll use the Gantry Sdk, which provides a data frame-like interface to run any query that you can run in the dashboard on your laptop without needing to pull the data down locally. And you can use it to do all kinds of things like building automations or integrating Gantry into your existing stack. But for now, let's just copy this emoji query that we ran in the dashboard and paste it into a Jupyter notebook to run the exact same query. We'll skip over the retraining part and see you in a second once we've deployed the new model. All right, with our new model deployed, acceptance rates for submissions with emojis have massively improved, and we're seeing new ones every day. It looks like we've fixed the issue with social posts. But this is really just scratching the surface of what you can do with Gantry. We can continuously improve any type of machine learning powered products, from text generation to recommender systems. We can build automated active learning workflows. We can tune our model's inputs or prompts. We can set alerts to detect data drift or other degradations in performance, or we can just receive periodic emails to update us on how our models are doing. So if you want to learn more, check out our website or sign up for our waitlist. Thanks for watching.